Mulishatha Mandela was born to the Madiba clan in the village of Mavizu, Transkia on the 18th July 1918. He became the first in his family to attend school. His teacher, Miss Middengane, gave him the name Mandela according to the custom of all school children receiving a Christian name. Mandela was only 9 when his father, Nkosi Mandela, passed away of lung disease. He studied law at the University of Fort Hare and the University of Witwatersrand before working as a lawyer in Johnsburg. Now, why is he famous? Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years in an attempt to overthrow the pro-apartheid government in South Africa. After being released in 1989, he continued his battle to achieve human rights and a better future for the citizens of South Africa. He later became the first black president of South Africa in 1994, and then retired at the age of 81. Nelson Mandela was employed by the African National Congress in 1943. The aim of the ANC was always to create a non-racial and democratic South Africa. Nelson Mandela became an inspiration to people all around the world due to the change he made to his country. Despite his 27 years of imprisonment, he was driven to end prejudice and make a political change. Mandela passed away on December 5, 2013. Nelson Mandela revolutionized leading for political and non-political leaders around the world. Prior to Mandela's presidency, the apartheid laws in South Africa were in place to create racial segregation and discrimination between 1948 and 1991. In his efforts towards trying to fight the South African apartheid, Mandela himself was subject to oppression. After Mandela left prison, he continued to work to achieve human rights for a better future for everyone in South Africa without punishing those who supported the apartheid laws. All in all, what made Mandela an exceptional leader was that he sought reconciliation with his political enemies rather than retaliation against them. He also encouraged his followers to do the same. This forgiving approach towards unionization helped his country, South Africa, to heal from the wound of apartheid and other social discrimination and prejudices present in South Africa.
Mandela's leadership traits were apparent in the content of his character. He had the motivation to stand behind his beliefs, the drive to stand up to his oppressors, and the confidence to persuade others of his ideal as a leader. When it came to his motivation, Mandela had the conviction to stand behind his beliefs as he passive-aggressively stood up to his oppressors, even if it meant that severe consequences would result. This was seen when he stood by his anti-apartheid beliefs even after his 27-year imprisonment. Mandela also maintained his drive as a leader as he remained committed to end segregation in his country before, during, and after his presidential term, as he expressed in his "I am prepared to die" speech. His drive was proven to pay off as he achieved his goal to end the pro-apartheid government in South Africa. Mandela's confidence and charm was powerful enough to make a change amongst the pro-apartheid members of South Africa. He even managed to confidently approach his oppressors in forgiveness, yet also in a manner of passive aggressiveness, which happened to later turn his former enemies into members of his team. All in all, he provided insight to his thoughts and opinions unapologetically to all of his followers in order to see change. In fact, Mandela's speeches included 96.5 more confident language than the average public speaker today. During his presidential term, Mandela exemplified team management. This was so that he could focus on unionizing South Africa in such a way that would build participation amongst citizens. As the first black president of South Africa, Mandela was arguably the overall reason for the country's unionization after putting an end to the apartheid laws as president and healing the wounds it created within the nation as a whole. Mandela was able to accomplish this in several ways. First of all, Mandela championed a policy of reconciliation called the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where victims of apartheid had the opportunity to share their experiences and also allowed perpetrators to receive amnesty only if they admitted to their crimes. He also created a government of national unity with former members of the apartheid laws so that he could unite his following and turn the followers of segregation into advocates of social equality and inclusiveness. Mandela also wrote a constitution that guaranteed respect for all people in South Africa. Finally, Mandela worked to guarantee economic justice for the black South Africans who had been left out for so long due to the old segregation laws.
Mandela used the transformational leader theory to lead his nation. The transformational theory follows a leader-follower interaction and takes a look at how leaders are able to motivate and inspire others by striving towards a common vision. As a transformational leader, Mandela successfully used the country's love for sports and hosted the Rugby World Cup in 1995, which further instilled a sense of nationalistic pride in its people and promoted reconciliation. Mandela had a great amount of charisma. He was seen as a very confident, competent, and ethical individual to his nation. This allowed his followers to look up to him as a leader who was confident in what they do.
Many of Mandela's quotes from his thought-provoking speeches and books have become mainstream to people all around the world. In Mandela's autobiography, he writes, "If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then he becomes your partner." In this quote from his book, Mandela's belief in reconciliation is displayed as he expresses that in order to be successful, it is important to be passive-aggressive and democratic with your enemies in order to gain the following you desire. Doing otherwise may cause you an endless rivalry that could come between yourself and your goals. In one of his speeches during his presidency, Mandela said the famous quote, "It always seems impossible until it's done." This is one of Mandela's most famous quotes to live by. Mandela had a brutal life as a young man during his fight against segregation in South Africa. There were many times in his life where people told him it could never be done. However, his determination led him to accomplish his goal of putting an end to the apartheid laws in South Africa. Therefore, this quote said by Mandela is one that encourages his followers to maintain determination towards the goals that they feel most passionate about, regardless of any doubt they may have in order to be successful.